Evening all. So, welcome everyone to episode 11 Shark Attack Case Files. It's going to be a slightly different one today because this is a strange incident here. I had to do quite a bit of research to try and size this one up. So, probably spent about 10 hours on this. Pretty sad, isn't it? Not for me, I like it. So, we'll dive in. So, we're going to go to California. I think episode 2 we done on the Robert Pampering attack was also California. If we scroll in, where are we going? So this is the Monterey Bay area, and the attack that we're looking at took place, near here, in a place called South Moss Beach, which is around this area. So and this area here is known as like the red triangle, infamous red triangle. So this area, Bodega Bay up here, all the way down to I guess the southern area of Monterey Bay, and then just beyond the Farallon Islands. So the Farallon Islands are obviously famous location for great white sharks. I believe this is like a nature reserve, and they have a few scientists out there all year round. They monitor different species, great whites, the marine mammals, whales, stuff like that. So this area, is colloquially known as the Red Triangle. Yeah, and I mentioned we looked at episode 2, the Robert Pampering attack, but California has had 20 documented great white shark fatalities, and the last one was in 2020. And then it's worth noting also that most attacks take place within this red triangle. A very high percentage. It's something like 80% of all attacks that are going to be within this area here. Yeah, before we dive onto the main slide, I just want to draw everyone's attention to this paper here. So I guess Anderson et al., this group of scientists or researchers produced this paper, Migration and Habitat of Great White Sharks in the Eastern Pacific Ocean. So this is a paper they produced in 2007, and it involved a study of 20 tagged great white sharks. And you can see the pattern. There's a clear pattern here in the autumn, in the winter, and the spring and the summer. So in the autumn and winter, they come closer back into the sort of red triangle area to feed mainly on like their main prey, which I believe is seals in this area. So I think there's large colonies of different types of seals, elephant seals, harbour seals. So they're all in this area, and I think they breed around this time. So the sharks come in to feed on them, and then they also congregate at this area here, which is known as well as the great white shark calf, or the white shark calf, because they actually found quite an abundance of fish and wildlife in this zone here, like a deep water zone, and the sharks feed in here, and then obviously they feed in here with the seals. But then in the spring and the summer they move further out, and a lot of them will migrate to Hawaii and maybe even further out than that, and it sort of runs in cycles. Some sharks come back into the Bay Area like every 2 years. So in the winter and autumn is where you see like the large sharks come in to feed on the seals. So yeah, I just wanted to make you aware of that. And the actual attack we're going to be looking at took place in South Moss Bay, Monterey Peninsula, California in 1981. So on a Saturday, December the 19th, sorry. And it involved Lewis Boren, 25 years old. So he was like a local guy, welder by trade, and he enjoyed surfing, in his spare time. So he was, I think this is the first attack we've done that involved a surfer. So obviously it's a synonymous activity when you're talking about great white shark attacks or any shark attack, just because of the silhouette and the hands and the feet in the prone position. You know, with the black wetsuit, you do look, or you mimic the silhouette of their prey, the seal of that time of year particularly. And during this year 1981, there was actually a proliferation of seals, so it was a very good season for seals. There was definitely a lot of prey in the area. So this attack involved potentially what is the biggest shark that's ever attacked a human. So this is why I'm going to go into detail on this particular attack, and I'll give my reasons at the end. So that this is, experts say that this is the largest shark that's ever attacked a human, as far as we know. So the attack took place in the daytime, sort of in the afternoon, 3 o'clock ish. It was coming up to a full moon cycle. The water was quite shallow, sort of around 3 meters, which is I guess 10 to 12 feet. Water temperature in that area is about 13 degrees, so it's like, I think that's like 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And it was fatal, and he was laying on his board, I guess, waiting to catch another wave. So I think it's like a kneel board, so it's like I think they hit the surf and come in on their knees potentially. I'm not a surfing expert. And so if I go into the narrative, so what happened was Lewis was at the beach with his friends. He drove like a camper van, I believe, and he parked his camper van up, and there was a group of his friends were surfing. And then I think what happened was his friends maybe left, because the last time that they saw him alive, he was just out there surfing on his own in the afternoon. So I think it's quite cold and windy, so I think potentially the other people had enough for the day, so they'd gone, and he was in there surfing. And then the next day, he was missing, and some of his friends were down at the beach, and they'd noticed that his camper van was still parked up, but he was nowhere to be seen. So this is like the next day on the 20th. So they put out like a missing persons report, and then about a kilometre away, or maybe a little bit closer away, his surfboard washed up on the beach with this huge crescent shape missing out of it, and they actually found the piece of the board as well a little bit further away. So they sent the board away straight away for analysis, and obviously you ain't got to be a marine biologist or anything to work out what possibly could have happened here. But so after they found the board, a missing persons report was released. So that I guess some people were hopeful maybe he would be found alive. So on the 22nd they examined a board. Then on the 24th, about a kilometre north where he was surfing, there was a body observed floating in the water. And then they pulled that body in, and it was identified as Lewis, unfortunately. So, and the cause of death was severe trauma to the left chest due to a shark bite, and it's believed that he was in the prone position at the time of the attack, and he was actually only ever bitten once, and then his body was in the water for a few days before it's pulled out. And basically the whole section of his left chest from his shoulder to his hip was missing from this large shark bite. But this is where it gets interesting. So there's a lot of information on the screen here, and it does look a bit daunting, but basically there's this paper from 2019, Determination of Shark Size from Forensic Analysis of Bite Damage. So this method uses like the indental distance between the teeth, and then also the bite circumference, to basically enable you to use some clever maths and equations to work out the rough size of the shark. So the study involved many different shark species, many different types of shark, many like individual sharks within a species. So like for Carcharodon carcharias, which is the great white shark, obviously, which is the shark that's believed that killed Lewis. This study shows like a data range of between a small shark, 1.2 meters to 5.6 meters, a large shark, and you can see that the way that they can calculate the size of a shark, that they can use the jaw size and upper and lower ranges. So this is the IDD, which is the space between the teeth. So that can vary in the upper jaw from 10 mil to 50 mil, then the lower jaw from sort of 10 mil to 47 mil, so roughly the same. But then the upper jaw bite circumference and the lower jaw bite circumference does differ in a great white shark. So the lower jaw is smaller and the upper jaw is larger, just because the teeth, the teeth go over on the upper jaw. So the upper jaw of a great white shark will be larger. So we know that this bite circumference of the board of the shark that attacked Lewis was 40 centimeters, which is 16 inches. So we know the circumference. So you can already sort of see that if that circumference, the circumference of the, if you calculate, so this is the diameter, 40 centimeters of the bite mark missing from Lewis's board, 40 centimeters, 16 inches. So then you can then calculate the diameter, obviously, which is easy. Anyone can do that. You can see that the upper jaw was 1570 mil, and then the lower was 1250 mil. So you can see that it's way off this scale. It's up here somewhere, and you can see that this upper range here sort of equates to a 5.6 meter shark. So basically, if you run this calculation, so this, I'm not going to bore you with the detail, but you run a calculation and you use logarithmic scales and then anti-log scales, and you can basically extrapolate the size of the shark that attacked Lewis. So I've done this myself, calculated it. It took me absolutely ages. So what this tells us is that this particular shark was anywhere between 7.9 meters, which is 26 feet, and 10 meters, which is 34 feet, which is absolutely astonishing. So I don't believe this shark was 10 meters long, but I'm convinced that this shark was well over 7 meters, and this can also be further corroborated by great white shark bites that they've found in Australia on whale carcasses of the same diameter. So basically they know these sharks are out there. So this shark, lovely drop that. They know that this shark that hit Lewis was definitely over 7 meters. I'm convinced of it, and it, as I said, I don't think it'd be 10 meters, 32 foot. That seems a bit extreme, but I'm convinced this shark was definitely 25 feet. Man, just absolutely insane. So I mean, this guy was probably just chilling on his board in the prong position, just laying on his board, and then the shark would have come up on his left side, just taken one bite. So it bit completely through him, completely through his board in one bite, and then just left that huge indentation, and it would have just killed him instantly. And then the shark just swam off because it would have known it was not an elephant seal, which he probably thought he was a seal, bit him, swam off. And the shark didn't come back, and I guess lucky for him, he was killed very quickly. But I guess he will go down in the history books as, in my view, being killed by the biggest shark ever to attack a human. So there you go. So these sharks are out there, and I mean these sharks live for a long time, 70, potentially even 100 years. So I'm not saying this shark is still alive, but I'm convinced there is sharks out there that meet or match this description. So yeah, and as I said, they've observed similar bite radiuses in whale carcasses in Australia. So absolutely crazy. So hope you enjoyed that one. See you next time.